We've got eagles who are just very results oriented and driven and direct. You've got parrots who are fun and social and optimistic. You've got doves who are harmonious. They're the one in your family, they want everyone to get along. And the owl, it's got to be right. They have a plan and a system and a process. So everybody's a combination of all four, but these are the four core styles. When you go back in time and you look at how did personality styles play out in presidential elections, because we talk a lot about the personalities of the candidates, but does it really matter? Is it about personality, or is it really about platform and which party you like? And so I looked at the styles, and I had this sense that you can start to see that these big personalities of the eagle and the parrot, these outgoing, take charge, assertive, they're dominant, they're enthusiastic and charismatic styles, they beat the more reserved, quieter styles of the dove and the owl? And the answer is overwhelmingly yes. In fact, you can look back over 88 years, 22 straight elections, where every time there is that bigger personality of that parrot or eagle style, it has beaten the owl or dove. And in fact, the only time the owl or dove wins is when they're going against another owl or dove.
You mentioned there was a time where an owl or a dove won.
Sure.
Who was that?
Many owls and doves have won the presidency.
Okay.
You take somebody like a George H.W. Bush. He wins the presidency when he's going against Dukakis, who happened to be an owl. But then when he goes against Clinton, who's a parrot, he loses. That big charisma and energy that Bill Clinton has just was overpowering for that owl energy. And so, yes, they do win, but boy, when they go against that bigger personality, that big personality wins every time.
It really is about the likability factor.
Yeah, it's really two things. It's likability, but it's also electability. So our style makes us likable, but also those bigger personalities make us more electable too. So you can see how it's, the reality is that when you look back in time, regardless of whether the US has been at war or in peace, or the economy is booming or flailing, or whether it's an incumbent or two new candidates, personality wins the day every time. So it didn't even matter. None of those factors really made a difference.
Well, it's funny because we're talking about politics today. We're going to be talking about politics today, but I always say that, like, you could line 10 real estate people up, right? And they could sell you the same house, but you're going to buy who is more maybe connected to you or who wins you over,
you just, and it's very intangible. It's like that it factor. It's that magnetism. You're just drawn to someone. You don't quite know why, but some of the candidates, as we'll talk about, you look at them and you say, that makes a lot of sense. And it's very logical. And then other candidates you look at and you say, I like them. There's just something, and you just can't even explain what it is, but you just like them. And that's the personality that's really driving how much do we connect to those people.
So now we're taking the personality types and tying them into politics. You've done a great job of recognizing that in the past 88 years, 22 elections, you've been able to conclude that these two birds here win.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the 2020 election. Go ahead.
Right. So let's look at 2020. Right. We've got a lot of players. We have obviously one key player on the Republican side, and Donald Trump is, of course, the eagle.
Yes.
Now, he has such a strong eagle style, and what that says to us is that anyone who has more of that owl or dove is going to have a challenge.
Yes.
We saw it in 2016. We saw it with Hillary, where she's more of an owl. And the challenge that she had was he came out so strong. And I remember this one moment where they were in a debate and Donald Trump walks up right behind her. And I listened to her talk about that moment afterwards, and she said she really regretted not turning around and saying to him, back off. But that's not her natural style. That's what the eagle does.
Right.
The owl was saying to herself, okay, I need to answer this question. I have a lot of statistics and data that need to be shared, and so I'm answering the question. And she didn't come off strong enough, and she didn't humanize herself. That owl's a very logical, analytical style. And she didn't humanize herself enough. Although she hired Tim Kaine to be her VP candidate, who was the parrot and dove combo, to add that humanity and that likability to the ticket, but it wasn't enough.
You need to hire an eagle. You need to hire an eagle parrot combination.
Which speaks to, so in this election,
that's
who do we have? We have Biden, So Biden, clearly the parrot, and one of the things about parrots, and he has done this his whole career, is parrots have a very thin filter between thinking and speaking.
Yes.
So sometimes he'll say something, and you know what's going on in his head afterwards. He says, did I say that out loud? Was that my outside voice? Like, uh-oh, now we're going to go and get into damage control because that's going to be shown on every news network.
Right.
And so, but he does that a lot because he thinks out loud. He doesn't really think before he speaks.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I don't think Trump does either, but I think the way Trump comes across is sometimes malicious or, attacks.
Well,
I think Joe Biden
it's
doesn't
the
really
ego.
attack. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's the confidence dialed up. We crank it up a little bit.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And so what happens is he comes across very confident and very assertive. He doesn't share a lot of detail. I mean, if you look at somebody like Trump, who's got this theme of just make America
Yeah.
great again, there's no detail behind
How?
that. But if you look at people like Amy Klobuchar, who's the owl, she literally, and this is not a number I'm making up, has a 137-point plan of what she's going to do in her first 100 days. 137 points doesn't resonate and have energy and passion.
No.
A tagline does.
Yes.
And you watch somebody like Pete Buttigieg, who's very dove-like. I mean, Mayor Pete. He's so likable, but is he electable? Does he have a national presence or more of a small town personality? And can that more personable, people talk about him as polite and calm. Can that beat a Donald Trump in a debate? And can that beat him in an election?
No.
And the history says no. You need somebody who's going to have a stronger style, who can be more assertive.
Let me ask you a question. The person with the 137-point
Yeah.
plan, are they able to, adapt when the plan goes awry?
Owls do have a harder time adjusting on the fly because they've had a plan, we stick with the plan. And the challenge is when you have someone like Amy Klobuchar, who's very owl-like, and someone like a Kirsten Gillibrand, who has a lot of owl, is that you watch Kirsten Gillibrand when she walked out on The Late Show to meet Stephen Colbert, and she walks out very professionally, waves once to the crowd, and sits down. And then you watch Kamala Harris, and it's almost as if she danced her way out, waving at everybody, just pointing to people, big smile on her face.
Yeah.
Her rhythm, her cadence, the way she speaks. It's like when you see the owls talk, like a Beto O'Rourke or a Amy Klobuchar or a Andrew Yang, all these owls in this election, they have very logical, analytical style, and they say, I have a plan. And it's hard to get excited about a plan, but you watch the debate when someone like Kamala Harris speaks. She has a rhythm to the way she speaks. It's almost like when the owl talks, they might say, and this is what I'm going to do. But when the parrot ends up, they go, and this is what I am going to do.
Yes.
And it's almost like you want to applaud and just cheer for them.
Right.
And literally watch the debates and watch how people cheer wildly for Kamala Harris when she speaks. Even Joe Biden is the same thing. That parrot energy creates energy. Energy creates action, and that action takes place in the voting booth.
So what do you think Obama was?
Obama's a very interesting style. Only about 1% of the population share his style. And that is that that eagle and dove combination. You think about, I call that the activist. And you think about people like Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. or Nelson Mandela. They have the eagle of, we're going to stand up for people, but not with violence, of the dove, right? With patience. We will wear you down. And Obama was that activist. He was a community activist before he was in Congress.
Now, I got to ask you, so Obama's that. What's his wife?
Oh, she's much more of the eagle.
You think
watch,
so?
Absolutely. You watch her style. There's this great scene of watching the two of them who are recording, as they're recording the Christmas message during one of the, right before the holidays. And Obama is sitting there. He just can't get himself together. He has the giggles and he's just laughing. And you see Michelle and she's literally smacking him and she's like, get it together, POTUS, focus. And she is just in control.
Nice.
And so it's fun to watch it. You can see the styles. Once you get it, you see the styles play out and you see how it impacts how we perceive people.
I have a question. You mentioned it before that the eagle could turn it up a little too much, right? So maybe Donald Trump wins. Did he turn it up too much after he won in the next 4 years
Well,
to hurt himself in 2020?
This is the challenge, is once you dial it up too much, that's when you push people's buttons, that's when you turn people off. So directness and candor is powerful, but you dial that up and what you get is insensitivity or abrasiveness, and it can become offensive. And once you turn that dial too much, that's when you start offending people. And that's where you start losing them from a personality. And that eagle that helped him may no longer serve him in 2020.
But did he set himself up to lose from even to an owl? Because he turned the eagle up too much.
Yeah, his eagle style is turned up so significantly that for those people who are in the middle, those swing voters, that are really looking at who do I like, his likability factor starts dialing down. And then you start to see that Biden energy, that Parrot energy, the Kamala Harris energy, it starts becoming much more appealing. And I think you're going to start to see Kamala Harris rise in the polls. I've been saying for a while, when she was at 1%, I've been saying all along, you watch. She has got that eagle and Parrot combination.
Perfect.
And that is that winning combination, because she not only has the assertiveness, but she has the likability as well.
So you think who's going to?
I'm going to put it out there. I think that Kamala Harris her style is the style that does it.
Wow, you heard it
Is she
here,
more
right
of a
on
parrot
RVN
or more of
TV?
an eagle?
I think she's got more of an eagle, but
Okay.
she has a lot of Parrot energy as well.
Right.
And I think that when you combine those two, you take a look back in history at the presidents who were the most liked presidents in history. So Gallup has done approval polls since 1937. You get an approval rating.
Right.
So the three presidents with the highest final approval rating, JFK, Bill Clinton, and FDR, all three were the Parrot and eagle combination. The president who had the highest average approval rating, JFK, also a Parrot and eagle combination. And by the way, there were only 4 that have that combination in that time period from 1937 to present, and they had the highest likability and approval rating of everyone. So what that says is, not only does that eagle Parrot style win the election, but then once they win, they're liked by the people.